Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us. What an exciting Hostex. 40 years of Hostex, ladies and gents. A round of applause to Hostex, please. We're starting this morning strong with a power hit session with some industry experts. We've got Martin, Cody, Chifiwa, and Carmel over here. They've been in the industry as long as anyone that matters has been in the industry. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to start with Chifiwa. He's sitting right in the middle over there. He is currently the CEO of the Tourism Business Council of South Africa and interim chair of the SADC Business Council. With nearly 3 decades of experience across the tourism value chain, from marketing and policy sector development, Chifiwa plays a leading role in shaping the resilience and the growth of the South African tourism industry. Next, I have Martin Cody on the far side. Martin has spent almost 25 years with the Four Seasons brand, working across London, the Maldives, Hawaii, Malaysia, Tanzania, Shanghai. The list goes on. It's longer than my arm. And we're delighted to have you with us, Martin, sharing a whole lot of global expertise and experience, which everyone will find great value in. So thank you for joining us. And last but not least, the lily amongst the thorns, we have Carmel joining us as well. Carmel works closely with the operators at the coalface, particularly setting up and during the refurbishment phases, as well as a sharp understanding of where businesses invest wisely and where they overspend. Thank you for joining us, Carmel.
Thank you.
So welcome, everyone. We're going to kick this off. And I think what's maybe a good starting point to kick this off is that in the last 5 years, if we've learned anything, it's that survival in hospitality is not by luck. It is purely by discipline. The business that lasts are not always the flashiest. They are the clearest about who they are and what they want to deliver. In the next 20 minutes, we're going to unpack 5 non-negotiables in order to build a hospitality business that lasts throughout the volatility, through competition, and through the changing customer expectations. There are 5 critical pillars I want everyone just to kind of think about before we kick this off, and hopefully there's some value that can be extracted from this conversation. The first one is knowing your market and your customers. In hospitality, absolutely critical and something everyone needs to know. Secondly would be to build for an economic reality, not for optimism. Thirdly, protect operational excellence. Hospitality is a demanding industry, and there's a certain level of expertise that is required in order for you to sustain yourself. Spending capital wisely, and lastly, leading with long-term thinking. So now I have to speak to these panels of experts, and I've got a few questions to ask. So Chifiwa, you bring a broader tourism and economic environment understanding, and with that, the first question I want to ask is, from a tourism and policy perspective, what risks or opportunities should operators be planning for in the next 3 to 5 years in the South African market?
Well, thank you, Gustav. I think we are working in an environment that is, in more ways than others, very unpredictable. And I'm saying this because we see what's going on, around the world, in terms of, the disruption on international travel, which is caused by, the ruptions that we're seeing in the Middle East. And that has an impact on us. And that impact is going to be felt in the next few months, if there is a stop in what's going on. So that means that we're going to have that impact in the travel and tourism, hospitality, is going to be felt down the line, because, truth be told, the Middle East is the biggest, contributor in terms of the arrival numbers. A lot of people use the hub-and-spoke model. They travel to Dubai, Qatar, and many other areas around the Middle East. Then they fly down to South Africa. So Emirates is our largest carrier in terms of the passengers coming into South Africa. So we're going to feel it. Domestically, from the policy point of view, I think that we are somewhat stable. We are not expecting a huge change that's going to impact the hospitality business in a way that's going to be profound. And the reason I'm saying this is because we work hard in lobbying government to ensure that whatever it is that's going to be introduced, whether it's a liquor policy, We want to make sure that it's a liquor policy that's useful for the tourism industry and hospitality industry to thrive. There is a talk about the 0% alcohol consumption while you're driving. So it's something we need to look at, because if we're going to go and say it's a 0% or people can't drink when they go to your establishments, it simply means that we have to close doors and we're going to lose jobs. So those are some of the things that we have on our minds to make sure that we advocate in a good way, but without encouraging people to go over the limit, when they're driving. But we need to protect our businesses. We need to protect restaurants, hotels, shisanyamas, and many other places that trade on alcohol, especially on consumption. So those are the type of things that we're working on. But we don't expect at the moment that we're going to have an environment that's going to be so rapturous that we're not going to be able to operate. Anything less than the things that makes our doors open, we are not going to accept as a tourism industry. And our job, and my job, is to make sure that I sit with government and I articulate exactly what we're looking for and exactly what's going to make us, our trading environment good. So there will not be anything that we cannot handle in the next 3 years in terms of ensuring that, we move forward. The only threat that we have is this, conflict that we have in the Middle East. We are watching that very closely. We need to make sure that we provide an alternative route to South Africa and we redirect the traffic, because we need those tourists coming down here, Cape Town, Joburg, Durban, Kruger, and everywhere else, so that we can continue to trade. If we don't have that, it's going to have an impact along the line, even on big companies that supply food. So we are watching that space very closely.
Thank you very much. If one thing we've learned since COVID to now is that as a hospitality industry, South Africa is hugely resilient. That being said, Chifiwe, where do you see the opportunities over the next few years? And considering that all of this is happening over in the Middle East, where are the opportunities for us to capitalize on now in South Africa for the industry?
Well, there are opportunities. Interesting enough, we had our stretch session last week. And we were thinking about the crisis that's going on around the world. With every crisis, there's an opportunity. And we were thinking about how do we craft a message that's going to make our destination attractive. Because at the moment, as much as a lot of people, especially from overseas, they can say, South Africa is unsafe. The definition of safety has somewhat changed because of what's going on globally. If you look at the people that are stuck in Dubai or Qatar or Bahrain and many other places, that changes the definition of safety, but it doesn't mean that we need to be complacent in what we do. So we're thinking about that and say, how do we reposition ourselves as a destination of choice? And how do we make sure that, we play a bigger role in the international space? So there are some few things that we do. As much as I can't divulge everything, there are a few things that we have planned that we're going to kickstart in the global markets to make sure that we remain relevant and we remain, top of mind. So there is that. But there's also other opportunities, that are here for businesses. And I think that, if you want to build a business that lasts, you got to make sure that whatever you're selling, it's memorable. Whether it's coffee, whether you're selling magwinya, whether you're selling, one of the most sophisticated meals, if it's not memorable, then we're missing the opportunity. And I think that's where we come in, especially, from the entrepreneurial point of view. How do we ensure that whatever we do, people come back for more? We always say that, in the business that we're in, when people walk into your establishment, you got to stay in their pocket. Make sure that they spend. Give them a reason to spend. And you can only give them a reason to spend if whatever you are doing or whatever you are selling, from your service to your food, it's memorable. And people, after they've been there, they say the atmosphere makes me want to go back. So those are the things that I believe that are opportunities we need to take advantage of, and we need to make sure that we show up as an industry. We can't be lazy. We've got to show up. We've got to show up strong.
Absolutely. And besides for being memorable, I think as a brand in South Africa, a sense of authenticity is something that goes a very long way. It's a beautiful country, we've got beautiful products, and that's really something we should be capitalizing on as well. Thank you very much. Martin, again, you've worked in countries, more countries than most people have visited. What separates properties that endure from those that fade, from these different environments that you've worked in?
I think consistency of a brand. For Four Seasons, it's a little easier because we only operate luxury brands, and you have some hotel companies with thousands of hotels who appeal to 3-star, 4-star, 5-star luxury market. We've always been purely focused on the luxury market. So it makes it easier, and for me, I've worked in 8, 9 hotels in various parts of the world. You know you go into the same level of service no matter what you go. So you're learning about the culture of the location and the people, but you're not having to relearn a new book of standards. That same consistency applies across the board. So it makes it easier for us. We're very human orientated, meaning service levels they're very intangible, so they very much depend on who's serving the person on the day. So some countries are easier than others. I think South Africa has a good advantage. We work very closely with a lot of the hotel colleges here, UJ, we're working with Tswana, University of Pretoria. I think we're still at a stage here where people love working in hospitality. And it's a career to do it. And I think once you still have that, which has been lost in many other parts of the world, it means those students coming through really want to deliver. They really want to be the next Martin. They want to be the next Gustav of the Saxon. And I think when you have that opportunity of people who really want to excel and do well in the business, it makes luxury hospitality easier to deliver on consistently.
Absolutely. So consistency is definitely a theme that's coming through quite strongly over here. But you mentioned standards a moment ago. How do you protect the standards when cost pressures increase?
So, well, for us, there's not a choice. The standard is the basic. It's how this, to me, and how the standard is delivered doesn't really cost you anything. And I think that's the impression a guest walks away with more. They don't walk away with, to an extent, yes, it should be a nice steak, and they have a great steak, but if they walk away having a great steak, but the service was not nice, or the server or the individual who interacted with them wasn't nice, they don't come back again. But for that server to be nice and engaged and to spend time with the guest costs us nothing extra versus having somebody who's not interacting well. So I think you don't have a choice with standards and with delivering on that. That is both of us work with LQA, Leading Quality Assurance, who come in once to twice a year to test every standard we have in our hotels. The standard is the minimum. It's the bare level. It's how the bed is made, it's how the bathroom is cleaned, etc. That's the basic. What creates that extra additional layer is the intangible of what your team are able to deliver on for guests. And that doesn't really cost anything. That's something that comes from the heart, and that they truly want to deliver is not an excessive expense.
Now, we're mentioning standards, and we want to also protect the industry, but I think a lot of that really ties in with creating that memorable experience that Shafir was talking about. If your service experience has been compromised and you haven't achieved the standard, that immediate experience and memorable opportunity that you could have created, you've tarnished. So I definitely see how we're pulling the golden thread through here. Carmel, again, you bring a very different perspective from the gentlemen that have already shared their comments, and it's fantastic having a lady on the panel that's going to blow everyone away. My first question to you are, what are the most common overspending mistakes you see when establishments open?
So I manage the hospitality division for Continental Linen White House Group, and we deal with the nuts and bolts. So it's after the hotel's been refurbished or built and set up, and now you need to buy your linen and your towels. And it's amazing how many people will contact us who have been in the industry for so long, and they'll say, this is the quantities and the sizes that I need. And I'll say to them, but what linen are you ordering? And then they'll say to me, well, what do you suggest? And I'm like, what do you mean? So I think it's so important to understand what you're purchasing, and I'll explain that to you now as well, but it's also to understand who is your customer, because you need to, and what is your budget? It's so important. So your linen qualities will be your 200 thread count poly percale, your 300 thread count percale, and your Egyptian cottons. And they come in various price points. So your polypercale is an easy iron, easy care product. Okay, so now you know you've got a little bit more leeway when it comes to your laundry setup, which is another important thing. So, and then you need to know, am I setting up or am I supplying a 3-star customer, a 4-star customer, a 5-star customer? And you need to buy the linen that suits that customer. I think that's so important. And there's no point in, if you've got a 3-star or a 500 thread count Egyptian cotton sateen, there's absolutely no point. It sounds amazing, but in the end, the higher thread counts actually don't last as long as the lower thread counts, interestingly enough. So you don't need to have a budget linen where you think it's not a good quality. We've got amazing quality 200 thread count polypercales, 300 thread counts, beautiful, beautiful qualities, very adequate. And then, of course, you need to understand how you're going to look after it, because that's going to determine how often you're going to replace it. Is your laundry in-house good? Is your equipment up to scratch? If you're outsourcing your laundry, can you rely on these guys? Will they help you if they lose or damage stuff, or are they going to, say, sorry, not my problem? And then I just think as well, companies never order enough par level. And although you might be spending more upfront, you do need to understand that it's cheap at the price, because you need to have enough par, at least 3 par, one in the cupboard, one on the bed, one at the laundry. And those are like the basics that will, really, really help you. As well as just being super organized, know what your stock levels are, do your stock counts. And then actually, most importantly, I would say you need to partner with an excellent, reputable supplier like Continental. No, I'm joking.
You're sitting here and you're mic'd up, you might as well.
I may as well say it, but the whole thing that you need to look out for with your supplier, and what we do offer at Continental Linen Whitehouse, is our in-house production facility. So we're not going around buying from everyone else and hoping to supply you. We are completely set up on our own steam. We import our fabrics. The company is like over 8 years old, so we know the quality. You need someone who's going to give you quality and guarantees, and who will be there to support you, because it's a difficult industry and you want someone who's there to hold your hand and to react quickly when you need it.
Fantastic. And talking to the points you just highlighted, maybe we can share with the audience, and not only on linen, but any product that they're looking at. How do you balance quality versus the commercial reality of the position that companies find themselves in?
I think that boils down to actually finding the right supplier. So if you know the supplier is reputable and that, they've been in the industry for many, many years. So Continental Linen have got suppliers that they've been dealing with for 80 years. So they know what they're doing. So if you buy a lower quality linen thread count, like the T200 poly cotton, which is an outstanding, but it's like a workhorse quality. Yes, you're paying a bit less, but you're not sacrificing on quality, because you will know that Continental Linen are buying the best poly cotton and polypercale qualities, because they've been doing it for so many years. And also they're the manufacturing guarantees. So you're not sacrificing anything actually by buying within your budget if you buy with a reputable supplier.
Absolutely. So if we summarize this conversation and we want to build a business that's going to last, I think some of the key takeaways that we've really picked up here is that the reality is that the industry is unpredictable. We do have to protect it, but in order to do that, we have to create our memorable experiences. We want to ensure that we are delivering consistency with regards to standards, and the standards don't cost anything. It's a decision. It's a choice we make as hospitality experts. And then do your homework. I think that's kind of what I took away from Carmel.
Definitely.
Do your homework. Know your product. Know who your customers are. Understand what it is that you're putting out there for them to consume. And then lastly, and I think this is why Hostex is such a critical cog in this big machine, your suppliers are key to your success. And this is a fantastic platform that we utilize as hospitality experts and professionals that have to look after our guests every day. Without the suppliers and having the right suppliers that you can build a trusted relationship with, unfortunately, the industry becomes even more challenging than it already is. All that being said, I think it would be a great opportunity to ask some questions from the audience. Anyone have a question they'd like to ask?
Hello. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Warren, and I'm in visual media, but I came here understanding the element of AI and how we're moving in that industry. I just wanted to understand, how do we balance artificial intelligence innovation with the human element? Because hospitality is for people, yet we still need to innovate. So from industry experts like you guys, how do we maintain the balance of making sure we innovate, yet still contributing to job security and increasing employment? Thank you.
Yeah, I think, Martin, if you'd like to come in from a luxury perspective, but also a greater industry perspective.
We have a good example of it recently. So we operate a Four Seasons chat. So when you're chatting or staying in a hotel, you're messaging. That can be through WhatsApp, it can be through text message, it can be through our app itself. But you're engaging with a human. You are not getting you know what it's like when you message something and you know you're getting an automatic response. It's the most frustrating thing. And so ours is human. It's a few people that are on our team. They're multitasking in that role, but with Four Seasons Chat. Our corporate team, we have a big technology innovation and data team based in Toronto. The next step for them with AI is, how do they incorporate and simplify responses for the team? So for example, a guest sends a message saying, I would like to order this for this time at this time. Automatically a response comes in, it's pre-programmed, it's ready for the person to send. The person has 5-10 seconds to read it. They can, no, I'm going to change that a little bit, and then they can hit send. So I think we can definitely use it, and it can speed up what we do. But in luxury in particular, the guests want human involvement. 20 years ago, and now we have AI. 20 years ago, we barely had messaging. A guest used to pick up a telephone and they dial, and then it wouldn't be answered. And so messaging is actually a great platform because the guest is not as critical. If the guest sends you a message, they've already done what they need to do and they're awaiting a response. Versus 20 years ago, they'd ring a telephone. If it didn't ring after or get answered after 3 rings, they were, oh, nobody's picking up, etc. So you can use it to your advantage. But for us, I don't see the human element of it being taken away because it's such a personal experience.
Shafiwa?
Just to add to what you were saying, hospitality needs nature. In hospitality or tourism business requires a human touch. Without a human touch, you have no experiences. You can't come to South Africa or go to a restaurant and you speak to, machines. You got to talk to people. That's when you go back home. You say the country has Ubuntu. You can't say the country has Ubuntu because we're talking to a machine. So at the end of the day, AI or the development of technology help us in the back office, how to do things efficiently and how to be faster. And if you think of the travel and tourism industry, is probably one of the industries that have evolved with technology. Back in the day, you couldn't just go to the airport and use your phone to check in. You needed a paper ticket. And it needed to be written by someone and delivered to you and so forth and so on. We've moved from that to now you can just use your phone and you can check in. You can get to some of the hotels, use your phone and check in. But the human element, if there's any industry that AI is going to be used at the back and not at the front, it's our industry. Without us, there is no hospitality industry. So, rest assured that we need to balance it at the back office, at the engine side of things. But in terms of delivery, you got to deliver service with a smile. You got to be consistent. It has to be something that people want to talk about. If we don't do that, then we don't have a destination for people to visit. Whether it's a restaurant, whether it's a hotel, whether it's a country in general, we don't have anything. What we do need to do, though, as a country, we need to make sure that we position ourselves, especially even if it's domestically or internationally, as a preferred destination. And we need to use AI as well to make sure that when people are looking for South Africa, or they're looking for a restaurant or for a hotel, they're able to find it faster. So we need to drive the narrative behind in the engine side so that people can see, as much as we've got the bad stuff, people also need to see the good stuff. and we need to use AI to balance the good and the bad.
Again, I think a recurring theme that I'm picking up from this conversation is efficiency is definitely an area that AI is a massive help. And at the end of the day, that increases productivity. And in the current day and age, the access to information and the speed at which you can share it has become critical. So I think we can definitely tie that all together from a hospitality perspective. Kamal, do you maybe want to add a comment
No,
on
I
this as well?
totally agree. I think it's a massive systems benefit. And I think for maybe smaller guys or maybe guest houses where they don't have the infrastructure around them, it's such a useful tool to ask any question and just, let chat or Gemini give you the answer. Remember, you need to ask the question in good detail. Your answer is only as good as the question you pose. But it's just useful. You don't have to wait to ask somebody and hope that you'll get the right information. It's just an amazing tool for any business, literally.
And clearly you asked a good question because you've got a whole panel to
Yeah.
answer you. Any other questions? The lady at the back there, please.
Hi, hello, my name is Wendy, and I have a few questions that I've prepared since I've been waiting for this day. The first question is, in your opinion, is hospitality a skill that has to be trained, or it comes directly from your heart?
It's a good
Is it a
question.
skill or it comes already from the heart, so that the younger generation will know if it's something that they have to train for, or it's something that comes already from when they are younger?
Who would you like to have answered that question for you? Who would you like to have answered that question for you?
I would like you to answer the question, please.
I'm hosting the panel, but I'm happy to do that. I think individuals that want to work in hospitality have an inert desire to take care of people.
Yeah.
It's much like being a nurse or a teacher. It's not something that you just, are forced into and you're going to make it work. But there are most definitely skill sets that can be developed and enhanced to make you an even better hospitality professional. If hospitality doesn't come from the heart and you don't get that feeling like when you go visit grandma and she tells you to quickly run to the kitchen and pick up a warm cookie, then that's not the true sense of hospitality. And I think hospitality, like Chifuwa said, it needs to be memorable. It's something that you can feel. It's something that you will remember forever.
Yeah.
Next question. Can I please ask another question? My other question is, if you like to teach every young person entering in hospitality one lesson, what will it be? I
just think to be agile and I think it's a similar question. I say this with the team at the hotel a lot. I'm a GM. We have a front office manager, a housekeeping manager. We're not rocket scientists. We're not neurosurgeons. We don't do open heart surgery. These things take a lot of training and a lot of work. What we do on a day-to-day basis has to come from the heart. So I think I would answer it with your first question. It has to come from wanting to do it. A young person coming in with the passion to want to do it can easily succeed. And even without, I think hospitality is one area you can succeed without a qualification. The only reason I get some of my guys to really push for qualification is because it'll help them in a few years to go abroad. If they want to get work permits to work abroad, they may need it. But to me, service from the heart is what I would say to them. It's what you have to really want to do it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yep, lady at the back, please.
I was on the other side. I was like my head like that.
We saw you.
Thank you so much for the panel. My name is Priscilla. I come from Australia. Very interesting to hear about the insights from South Africa. So my question is, everything is changing at the moment. A lot of it accelerating times now. So my question is more about the creation of value, because value and culture has been changing quite a bit because we're living now in the decentralization world. So what about creation of value in the hospitality? Give you some examples. So for example, Patagonia Fashion has been actually creating this sustainable, say, don't buy jackets, for example, as a value of say, look, we care about the sustainability. If you really need this jacket, buy. If you're not, it's okay. And then actually became more luxury for that. So people pay more and they have this actually value of sustainability, not just because things say sustainable, but they do, they are sustainability. But also brands like Chanel on the fashion side as well has been doing a lot of deep conversation with customers and creating value in a different way. They don't say, oh, how great we are, but they actually giving culture, philosophy on podcasts, building this lecture environment where the people coming together to learn something, and deep conversation where everyone actually wanted to. Everyone is lost with AI, and AI actually takes some of our brain out of the game. And that brains try to bring the brain back, the human brain back, and have this deep conversation and bring that luxury. So my questions for you, Martin, as a luxury brand, is how do you see the hospitality luxury creating these new values on this world that's been changing in volatile, such accelerated way? How the hospitality can keeping going and create values, understanding people?
I think it depends a lot on the location you're in. As a brand, so our chairman is 94 years of age, our founder and chairman, Izzy, based in Toronto. And when he was probably in his late 30s, he lost one of his children to cancer. And I don't know if anybody's ever heard of Terry Fox, but the Terry Fox run is probably the most famous run for cancer cures globally, and since then it's raised millions and millions around the world. And so in Johannesburg, what do? We work with CHOC, which is supporting childhood cancer. So children who are going through treatment for childhood cancer that come to Johannesburg that can't afford to stay in a hotel or they've nowhere else to stay. So CHOC supports them through all of that. So to me, it's about how you're able to make an impact in the community you're in, whether it's through something that somebody's purchasing or through an amenity or service you're able to give or support. And actually this week we're now looking at, unfortunately the runs fell away during the pandemic, but we want to redo it this year. And everything is donated, and everything that, all the volunteers from the hotel, all the team from the hotel that will work with us, all goes back to supporting something local that makes a difference in the community that you're in. And I think every business, I'm sure even in Carmel's business,
Yes.
they probably have examples of that. I think every business,
Exactly.
it's so important, because you can advertise ESG, your environmental social governance, and you can have your big banners and what you represent. But I think intrinsically it comes down to what you're doing on the ground and what impact you can make.
Right.
And for us, it's something like what we want to do this year. And we've got 2 or 3 other local charities that we work with very closely, and how we can make in particular an impact to make things better for them.
Carmel, you wanted to add
Yes,
something quickly
I
before we
did.
wrap things up.
Sure. So it's important to look as well at your suppliers and how they look after their staff, because it's a whole chain reaction. So for us, the staff in the production and in the warehousing, they have comprehensive medical cover. They, are paid well according to the standards that are required, and it's not like some sweatshop situation. So it's just important to understand, yes, your linen arrives beautifully packaged, for example, but where did it actually come from? And we have an open door policy at Continental Linen White House for you to visit our production and to see our amazing staff and how the products are handled with such care from start to finish, and how absolutely everyone just loves what they're doing. And that says a lot for the owners of the business.
Yeah, I think just to round that up, I think value comes from being intentional. You need to be transparent, and then you need to make sure that you commit to delivering that consistently throughout. So that's kind of the core takeaway I take from that. Ladies and gentlemen, we could sit here for 4 hours and have a heated conversation. Unfortunately, we do need to wrap things up. If you want to build a successful, long-lasting hospitality business in South Africa, take a few of these principles, see how you can apply it in your business, and I can assure you, you're going to see fantastic success. The panel are going to be around for a little bit after. I haven't asked them, I've just told them. If there are any other questions, feel free to come have a conversation with us. Thank you so much. Enjoy.